Okay, so I'm kind of bored. So I'm going to take this plan, roughly 1/32 scale Spitfire, and I've transferred it to, this is an old piece of wood that used to be a family set of chest of drawers when I was growing up. And so I'm going to cut that out on the saw. So we'll see. And I'm going to turn it into a Whirligig. I'm going to hang it on the fence and see if it'll spin. So here we go. Supermarine
Well, it's kind of
Spitfire
fun using
Whirligig.
my father-in-law's bandsaw for cutting that. And it's not the best wood for this. I mean, you can see the dados that are cut on the backside for the cabinet that it used to be. But, you know, for this, it was just my prototype, and I was just having a lot of fun. And I don't always use that big bandsaw for a lot of projects. Mostly for just cutting wood and then working it with something else. But this was kind of cool. It gave me a good chance to get to use it. So now there I'm kind of marking a little notch out so that it'll fit in the fuselage. This little piece that was supposed to be on the bottom of the plane, it ended up not going in because it just kind of didn't fit when I finished.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not exactly on the lines, but they're more guidelines. Just like, from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the rules of parlay. They're more guidelines, and that's what these are. Now this will go underneath the wing.
So the cabinets that I'm working on, I built those a while back, and I had 3 of them, and they just work real nice. I can roll them around and put them back and over there in the storage area. It works real nice. And then just kind of going back and forth, I got a couple of drill presses there, and I'm just working here. It looks like I'm working on getting the tail done there and getting it mounted up and drilling holes for the mounts. I'm going to put dowels in there. So at this point, now I'm going to start to make the spinner. So I should have scooted it over a little bit, ended up having a little notch cut on the side of it, which didn't matter. I ended up cutting it down. But so I just made a square, and then I kind of did some crisscrosses so I knew center, drill a hole there. Now I'm using my dad's old compass and protractors for marking a circle and then making 120-degree marks. So the Spitfire had a 3-bladed prop, so I thought I'd keep that going with it, and just kind of what I didn't do on the bandsaw, I'll just touch up there the sander. Now what I'm doing is I'm making little vertical marks on the ends, and I'm going to angle them at a 45-degree.
Okay, so I'm going to use, this is just scrap wood from that same cabinet project. This end's a little bit thicker, so I'm going to make that where they hook into here, and they'll be going in at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to make the propellers about that big, so I'm just going to be measuring here and then cutting them on the...
So I'm using the caliper set to the thickness of that board to kind of widen the diagonal 45-degree lines.
Well, my dad was an artist, and this is one of his tools, and he's got his paint. My dad could not help but splash paint everywhere when he was doing his work. So I love it when the tools that I was able to get either from him or after he passed, love using them in the garage. Feel like I'm talking and working with my dad when we do that. And so this is one of them. And so I'm going to cut that. Won't cut any further in for the propellers. Hopefully that'll give it a good spot. So I'll cut this on the bandsaw. Well, I'm about to change the angle on this bandsaw, but this was my father-in-law's bandsaw, Robert's. In fact, I got some of his stuff too. After he passed, he used to love to carve, so I'm going to learn that. But anyway, it's really fun and nice. Well, not so much fun, but it's really nice to be able to use my father's and my other dad's tools, and I think of them.
So here I'm just setting the table there to 45 degrees. Then I had to muscle around to get it so you could see it. Then I'm putting this piece of wood on there that'll eventually turn the propellers, just as a little guideline. Then I had to go to the back end of the saw so I could actually see it. I was a little bit nervous on that, and then I realized, okay, no, it was good. That little voice in my head finally went away saying, it's okay, I was being real careful and keeping my head away in case the blade broke. So went through this. I was really surprised that I just assumed they'd be, perfect little radians cut out, but they had different angles to them. So that kind of surprised me a little bit. So I went to my scroll saw here to finish cutting the corners out, and then that didn't work too well, so I ended up figuring, well, I'm just going to use the old-fashioned chisel, and it worked just great. You know, use my sander that doesn't have the backing on it. I use that for a lot of scroll saw projects.
Okay, well, it's taken me about a half an hour to work this, but I got it so that it fits pretty good. So I'll get a pattern made for this and cut them out, and then I think I'll glue these.
Well,
in
so I
with
just went ahead and just
epoxy.
decided to just make my own little design there for the propellers, just wide enough for the base there, and just kind of drew it. Ended up using proportion there to make sure they're the same. They almost look like Christmas light bulbs from the side. So then I cut that one out, use it as a pattern and for template for the next 3, as you can see there, and then got those cut out with the saw.
Okay, so I'm looking for some type of a metal tube, and I thought, hey, look at this little disposable brush. I'll just cut the end off that, stick it in there, and then this screw will fit into there and give it a nice...
You can use the scroll saw to cut soft metals. This was just, I don't think that was aluminum. I think it's just really thin metal. It's cheap, thin. So it cut well on that. Use a special blade for that. And then just cut in the nose, I guess the drive shaft for the propeller in there, and getting it set in there, kind of testing it out. And now I made a mistake. This Loctite was kind of old stuff. I don't really like anything but the clear kind of epoxy. So I thought, well, I'd use it up because it didn't need to look really particularly pretty. It took about almost a whole day for this stuff to cure. So it really messed me up because I figured if I would have used just my regular epoxy, it would have been done in about 15 minutes and I could have continued. So at this point, it's 2 days later because it took a long time for that darn glue to cure. Now I've got to find its center of balance. I'm going to drill a hole down here. And so I'll just kind of go through until I kind of find where the center of balance is. Drill a hole, 3/8 hole, put the screw in so that when I do mount it with a metal nail or something, then it'll be right at the center of balance. I'll tend to want to weather band it. So let's get that now. Well, when it gets kind of gusty, it works. This is just the prototype, but cool. Well, it seems to rotate pretty easily. It's not perfectly balanced, but this is just the prototype, obviously, with all the stuff on it, but it was kind of fun. So, all right, project done.